Have you ever felt like life is a constant uphill climb, like rolling a heavy boulder endlessly up a steep hill? It's draining, isn't it? Whether it's in our careers, relationships, or simply the pursuit of happiness, we often find ourselves caught in the cycle of struggle, believing that if we just push harder, everything will fall into place. But what if there's another way? As the Buddha wisely said, true peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This profound insight invites us to take a step back and see life from a fresh perspective, a path of balanced presence and mindfulness. Instead of forcing our way through, what if we could move with life, like water effortlessly flowing around the stones in its path? In this journey, we'll uncover the transformative concept of non-force, deeply rooted in Buddhist philosophy. This approach isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of resistance and aligning with life's natural rhythm. Through this lens, we'll explore timeless Zen stories and practical lessons that show us how to navigate life's challenges with grace and acceptance. But this isn't just philosophy. It's a practice, a way of being you can bring into your everyday life. Together, we'll dive into powerful Buddhist principles, from understanding impermanence to cultivating gratitude, kindness, and mindfulness. These teachings hold the key to unlocking a deeper sense of joy, fulfillment, and peace within yourself. Join us as we explore this timeless wisdom and discover how to live with ease, balance, and an open heart. Life doesn't have to be a constant battle. It can be a flowing river of peace and presence. Lesson 1. The power of non-force. In our fast-paced world, we are often taught that success comes from effort, force, and control. The harder we push, the more we achieve, or so we believe. Yet, this approach can leave us drained, frustrated, and disconnected from the present moment. Buddhism offers a refreshing alternative, the principle of non-force. Non-force doesn't mean passivity or giving up on life's pursuits. Instead, it's about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of existence. This idea mirrors the way a river navigates its journey. It doesn't try to break through the rocks in its path. Instead, it flows around them with grace, adapting to the terrain while remaining true to its course. This gentle yet persistent approach teaches us how to move through life's challenges without resistance or unnecessary struggle. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from clinging and aversion, our desire to control outcomes or avoid discomfort. This attachment to how things should be often creates tension in our hearts and minds. But when we learn to let go and trust life's unfolding, we begin to experience a sense of spaciousness and ease. As the Buddha said, attachment is the root of suffering. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop trying to force life to conform to our expectations. Consider the Zen concept of wu-wei, often translated as effortless action or non-doing. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting in harmony with the natural rhythm of life. Just as a tree grows without strain and the sun rises without struggle, we too can learn to live in a way that feels both purposeful and effortless. By embracing this mindset, we conserve energy, reduce stress, and allow clarity to emerge naturally. Non-force is also deeply connected to the Buddhist understanding of impermanence and anicca. Everything in life is constantly changing: our thoughts, emotions, circumstances, and even our challenges. By flowing with this truth rather than resisting it, we open ourselves to growth and transformation. As you practice non-force, remember these words from the Tao Te Ching. The soft overcomes the hard. The gentle overcomes the rigid. The master acts without doing, and everything falls into place. By letting go of resistance and embracing the natural flow of life, we find inner peace, clarity, and a deeper connection to the present moment. Lesson 2. The middle way. Life often pulls us toward extremes. We chase pleasures to feel alive or deny ourselves in the name of discipline, thinking either path will bring fulfillment. Yet, both indulgence and denial often lead to imbalance, leaving us feeling empty or exhausted. The Buddhist teaching of the middle way offers an alternative, a path of moderation and harmony that nurtures body, mind, and spirit. The middle way arose from the Buddha's own journey. After living a life of indulgence as a prince and then pursuing severe asceticism in search of enlightenment, he realized that neither extreme led to true peace. Sitting beneath the Bodhi tree, he discovered the middle way, a path that balances the needs of the physical world with the aspirations of the spiritual. As the Buddha explained, there is a middle way, O monks, avoiding these two extremes, discovered by the Tathagata, a path which opens the eyes and bestows understanding, which leads to peace, to insight, to enlightenment. This principle can be seen in every aspect of life. Just as a stringed instrument must be tuned, not too tight, not too loose. To create beautiful music, our lives require balance to thrive. Too much indulgence can cloud the mind, while too much restraint can deplete the spirit. The middle way invites us to step away from these extremes and find harmony in the middle ground. Practicing the middle way isn't about avoiding challenges or desires. It's about engaging with them wisely. It asks us to cultivate awareness of what truly nourishes us versus what distracts us. This awareness allows us to make choices that support our well-being and growth without falling into patterns of excess or deprivation. The middle way is also deeply connected to mindfulness. By paying attention to the present moment, we begin to notice when we're leaning too far in one direction. We can then gently guide ourselves back toward balance. This process is not rigid. It's fluid, adapting to the ever-changing circumstances of life. Ultimately, the middle way is a path of compassion. Compassion for ourselves as we navigate life's complexities and compassion for others as they do the same. It reminds us that perfection isn't the goal. Balance and harmony are. As the Buddha taught, to enjoy good health, to bring true happiness to one's family, to bring peace to all, one must first discipline and control one's own mind. If a man can control his mind, he can find the way to enlightenment, and all wisdom and virtue will naturally come to him. The middle way is a timeless reminder that peace lies not in extremes, but in the gentle, steady rhythm of balance. By walking this path, we cultivate a life of harmony, mindfulness, and deep inner peace. Lesson 3: Embracing impermanence. Change is the one constant in life. From the shifting seasons to the ebb and flow of our emotions, everything is in a state of flux. Yet, as natural as change is, we often resist it, clinging to what feels comfortable or fearing the unknown. Buddhism invites us to see impermanence and nikka not as something to dread, but as a profound truth that can liberate us from suffering and bring deeper meaning to each moment. The Buddha taught that all conditioned things are impermanent. Our bodies, relationships, possessions, and even our thoughts are in a continuous process of arising and passing away. When we cling to the illusion of permanence, we set ourselves up for disappointment, as nothing can remain unchanged forever. But when we embrace impermanence, we let go of this clinging, opening ourselves to a life of freedom, gratitude, and peace. Consider the analogy of a blooming flower. Its beauty is breathtaking precisely because it won't last forever. The knowledge of its fleeting nature makes us treasure it even more. Life, too, becomes richer and more vibrant when we recognize its transient nature. By accepting that nothing lasts forever, we begin to see the preciousness of each moment and the opportunities it holds. Impermanence also helps us navigate difficult times. When we're in the midst of pain or loss, the understanding that this too shall pass can provide comfort and hope. Just as storms eventually give way to clear skies, our struggles are temporary, constantly evolving into something new. On the flip side, impermanence teaches us not to cling too tightly to joy or success, as they too are subject to change. Instead of grasping at these moments, we learn to savor them fully, knowing they are gifts rather than guarantees. This mindset fosters a sense of gratitude for life's fleeting blessings. The practice of embracing impermanence also deepens our compassion. When we realize that everyone and everything we love is impermanent, we tend to hold our connections more gently and lovingly. Each encounter becomes an opportunity to be fully present, knowing it may never come again in quite the same way. As the Buddha said, All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This truth is not meant to bring despair, but to awaken us to the richness of life as it unfolds in the present moment. By embracing impermanence, we free ourselves from the fear of loss and the burden of attachment. We begin to live with a lighter heart, finding joy in what is, rather than clinging to what was or what might be. This awareness transforms our experience, allowing us to move through life with grace, gratitude, and an open heart. Impermanence is not an obstacle to happiness. It is the very key to unlocking it. When we accept the ever-changing nature of existence, we discover a deeper sense of peace and a profound appreciation for the miracle of being alive. Lesson 4. Interconnectedness. At first glance, life may seem like a collection of separate entities. You and me, the earth and the sky, humans and nature. Yet, when we look closer, we see that everything is deeply interconnected. In Buddhism, this understanding of interconnectedness, often described as dependent origination, pratitya samuppada, reveals that nothing exists in isolation. Every being, every action, and every moment is part of an intricate web of relationships, shaping and sustaining one another. The Buddha taught, when this exists, that arises. When this ceases, that ceases. This simple yet profound truth underscores the interdependent nature of all things. Just as a tree depends on sunlight, soil, and water to grow, we too are shaped by countless influences. Our families, communities, environment, and even the smallest choices we make each day. Understanding this interconnectedness transforms how we see ourselves and the world around us. When we recognize our connection to all beings, compassion naturally arises. The suffering of others is no longer their problem. It becomes something we share. This awareness inspires us to act with kindness and care, knowing that our actions ripple outward, affecting the whole. As the Dalai Lama beautifully put it, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. Interconnectedness also teaches us responsibility. Our choices, what we consume, how we treat others, and how we care for the planet, don't just affect us. They influence the larger web of life. For example, the food we eat connects us to the farmers who grew it, the earth that nourished it, and the ecosystems that made it possible. This understanding encourages us to live mindfully, with an awareness of how our actions contribute to the greater whole. This principle extends beyond people to encompass all of nature. The air we breathe, the water we drink, and the earth we stand on are gifts of the planet's interconnected systems. When we honor these connections, we develop a sense of unity with the natural world, recognizing that its well-being is inseparable from our own. The insight of interconnectedness also dissolves the illusion of separateness that often fuels loneliness or conflict. When we see that we are not isolated but deeply woven into the fabric of existence, a sense of unity and belonging arises. This awareness helps us move beyond ego-driven desires and embrace a life of shared purpose and harmony. A traditional Buddhist metaphor illustrates this beautifully. Indra's net. Imagine a vast net stretching infinitely in all directions, with a jewel at every intersection. Each jewel reflects every other jewel in the net, symbolizing the interdependence of all things. No jewel exists independently. Its beauty depends on the light reflected from the others. This is the essence of interconnectedness. Each of us is a jewel in the great web of existence, shining brighter when we uplift those around us. By embracing interconnectedness, we open ourselves to a life of compassion, gratitude, and shared responsibility. We begin to see that our individual well-being is inseparable from the well-being of others and the planet. This realization inspires us to live with intention and love, nurturing the bonds that sustain us all. As Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "We are here to awaken from the illusion of separateness. In awakening to interconnectedness, we discover that we are never truly alone and that our actions, no matter how small, hold the power to shape the world." Through this understanding, we cultivate a deeper sense of unity, peace, and purpose. Lesson 5, non-attachment. In our quest for happiness, we often hold tightly to things, possessions, relationships, beliefs, or even our sense of self. We cling, hoping they will bring us security or fulfillment. But life, by its nature, is ever-changing. The harder we grasp, the more we suffer when things inevitably change or slip away. Buddhism teaches that the key to true freedom and peace lies in non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean apathy or disengagement. It's not about renouncing the joys of life or refusing to care about others. Instead, it is about cultivating a mindset that allows us to engage with the world fully and lovingly without clinging to outcomes or defining ourselves by impermanent things. As the Buddha said, "Let go of what you think you are and become who you truly are." This principle begins with recognizing that clinging creates suffering. When we attach ourselves to possessions, we fear losing them. When we attach ourselves to relationships, we may try to control or define them in ways that hinder their natural flow. Even attachment to ideas, our beliefs about how life should be, can cause frustration when reality unfolds differently. Non-attachment frees us from these binds, allowing us to live with greater flexibility and grace. Consider a bird perched lightly on a branch. It enjoys the branch for what it offers, but does not hold on to it, ready to fly away when the time comes. This is the essence of non-attachment. Fully experiencing life without being imprisoned by the need to possess or control. Non-attachment also invites us to reframe our relationship with self-identity. We often cling to fixed ideas about who we are, our roles, achievements, or even our failures. But these identities are not permanent. They are stories we tell ourselves. By letting go of rigid self-concepts, we open the door to growth and self-discovery. As the Zen saying goes, "Be like water, which takes the shape of whatever vessel it fills, yet remains true to its essence." This practice is rooted in mindfulness. When we are fully present, we see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. This clarity allows us to appreciate life's beauty without needing to hold on to it. For example, a sunset is no less magnificent because it lasts only a moment. In fact, its fleeting nature makes it all the more precious. Non-attachment is also deeply tied to compassion. When we let go of our desire to control or possess, we can love more freely and selflessly. We begin to see others not as extensions of ourselves, but as unique beings, deserving of their own paths and choices. This fosters relationships built on mutual respect and genuine care. As the Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. Non-attachment is not about loss, it's about liberation. By releasing our grip on what cannot last, we make space for what truly matters: presence, connection, and inner peace. Through the practice of non-attachment, we learn to live lightly, moving through the world with an open heart and a clear mind. We find joy in the present moment and discover that true freedom lies not in holding on, but in letting go. Lesson 6, mindfulness. In a world filled with distractions, our minds are often scattered, dwelling on the past, worrying about the future, or consumed by endless to-do lists. This constant mental chatter keeps us disconnected from the present moment where life truly unfolds. Buddhism offers mindfulness as a powerful practice to anchor ourselves in the here and now, cultivating clarity, peace, and a deeper connection to life. Mindfulness, or sati in Pali, means maintaining an open and non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. It involves observing our thoughts, emotions, and sensations as they arise, without becoming entangled in them. The Buddha described mindfulness as a path to awakening, teaching, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. By practicing mindfulness, we become aware of the habitual patterns of our minds. Often, we react to situations on autopilot, driven by ingrained fears, desires, or aversions. Mindfulness allows us to pause, observe these tendencies, and respond with greater wisdom and compassion. It creates space between stimulus and reaction, breaking cycles of reactivity and offering us the freedom to choose our actions consciously. One of the most profound aspects of mindfulness is its ability to transform suffering. When we face difficult emotions like anger, sadness, or fear, our instinct is often to suppress or avoid them. However, mindfulness teaches us to face these feelings with curiosity and acceptance, seeing them as passing phenomena rather than permanent states. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." Mindfulness also deepens our appreciation for life's simple moments. The taste of a meal, the warmth of the sun, or the sound of a loved one's voice can all become sources of joy when we are fully present. These experiences, often overlooked in our rush through life, remind us of the beauty and richness of the here and now. The practice of mindfulness begins with something as simple as the breath. By focusing on the natural rhythm of inhalation and exhalation, we train the mind to return to the present moment whenever it wanders. Over time, this practice extends beyond meditation, infusing our daily lives with awareness, whether we're walking, eating, or speaking with others. Mindfulness is not about achieving a perfectly still mind. Thoughts and emotions will continue to arise, as is their nature. The practice is about observing them without judgment or attachment, recognizing that they are temporary and do not define us. This gentle awareness brings a sense of peace and equanimity, even amidst life's challenges. As we cultivate mindfulness, we begin to see life as it truly is, not through the lens of our fears, desires, or preconceived notions. This clarity allows us to approach each moment with openness and compassion, both for ourselves and others. In the words of the Buddha, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Through mindfulness, we learn to guide our minds toward presence and peace, breaking free from the cycles of distraction and reactivity that often dominate our lives. By staying present in the here and now, mindfulness opens the door to a life of greater balance, joy, and fulfillment. It reminds us that peace is not something to seek elsewhere, but something to cultivate within, one mindful moment at a time. Lesson 7. Equanimity. Life is a journey of highs and lows, moments of joy and sorrow, gain and loss, praise and criticism. These fluctuations can feel like an emotional roller coaster, pulling us in different directions and leaving us off balance. Buddhism offers equanimity, upekkha, a state of mental calm and balance, as a way to navigate these inevitable changes with grace and wisdom. Equanimity is not indifference or detachment. It doesn't mean we stop caring about what happens to us or others. Instead, it is the cultivation of a steady mind that remains calm and composed, regardless of external circumstances. As the Buddha taught, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the storm, even so, the wise are not affected by praise or blame. At the heart of equanimity is the understanding of impermanence and nikka. All experiences, whether pleasant or painful, are temporary. Clinging to the highs or resisting the lows only creates suffering. Equanimity helps us let go of this clinging and aversion, allowing us to face life's ever-changing nature with acceptance and poise. Equanimity doesn't numb us to life's experiences. It enhances our ability to engage with them mindfully. When we experience joy, equanimity allows us to savor it without fear of losing it. When we face pain, it helps us endure it with strength and perspective, knowing it will pass. This balanced mindset frees us from being at the mercy of our emotions, enabling us to respond to life's challenges with clarity and compassion. This quality is beautifully illustrated in the Buddhist teaching of the 8 worldly winds: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, and success and failure. These winds blow through every life, but equanimity allows us to remain grounded, neither swept away by the pleasant nor devastated by the unpleasant. It's not about denying our feelings, but about cultivating a sense of inner stability amidst the inevitable changes. Equanimity also fosters a profound sense of fairness and impartiality. When we approach life with a balanced mind, we're better able to see all beings with compassion and without bias. This perspective strengthens our relationships, allowing us to respond to others with understanding and kindness rather than being influenced by our own emotional reactivity. The practice of equanimity often begins with self-awareness. By observing our emotional responses without judgment, we can start to recognize the patterns that pull us out of balance. Meditation is a powerful tool for this, helping us develop the inner calm needed to remain centered. As the Buddha said, develop a mind that is vast like the ocean, where experiences, both pleasant and unpleasant, can appear and disappear without becoming its slave. This expansive, unshakable mindset is the essence of equanimity. When we embrace equanimity, we discover a profound inner freedom. We are no longer bound by the highs and lows of life, but can move through them with peace and resilience. Equanimity reminds us that while we cannot control the winds of change, we can learn to set our sails, navigating life's journey with balance and wisdom. Through equanimity, we cultivate a steady heart, a heart that embraces life's joys and sorrows, knowing that all experiences are transient. This steady heart allows us to engage with the world fully, deeply, and compassionately without losing our center. Lesson 8. Loving kindness. At the core of Buddhist teachings lies a profound aspiration to cultivate love and compassion for all beings. This practice, known as metta or loving kindness, is the deliberate cultivation of unconditional love and goodwill, not just for those we cherish, but for all beings, including ourselves. Loving kindness has the power to transform our relationships, ease inner turmoil, and create a ripple effect of positivity that touches the world around us. Loving kindness begins with a simple yet powerful wish. May all beings be happy. May they be safe. May they live with ease. These words form the foundation of the metta meditation, a practice that encourages us to send heartfelt wishes of kindness to ourselves, to loved ones, to mutual acquaintances, and even to those who challenge us. This practice expands our capacity for empathy and breaks down the barriers of separation that often lead to division and conflict. The Buddha described loving kindness as the antidote to ill will and hatred. When we allow anger or resentment to take root, it clouds our hearts and minds, distancing us from others and ourselves. Loving kindness, on the other hand, opens the heart, allowing us to approach life with warmth and generosity. As the Buddha said, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. Practicing loving kindness doesn't mean ignoring harm or allowing injustice. It is not about condoning negative behavior, but about holding space for compassion, even in the face of difficulty. When we extend loving kindness to those who hurt us, we free ourselves from the burden of anger and create the possibility for healing and reconciliation. Equally important is directing loving kindness toward ourselves. Many of us are our own harshest critics, holding on to self-judgment or guilt. Loving kindness invites us to treat ourselves with the same care and compassion we would offer to a dear friend. This practice helps us heal from within, cultivating a sense of worthiness and inner peace. Loving kindness also nurtures a sense of interconnectedness. When we practice metta, we recognize that all beings, regardless of their background, beliefs, or actions, share the same desire for happiness and freedom from suffering. This understanding deepens our empathy and encourages us to act with kindness and care in all our interactions. The effects of loving kindness extend far beyond ourselves. When we approach life with a loving heart, our actions inspire others, creating a ripple effect of positivity. Kindness is contagious. Even small acts of goodwill can brighten someone's day and encourage them to pass it forward. As the Buddha taught, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. This boundless love is not limited by condition or circumstance. It is an unshakable commitment to the well-being of all. Through the practice of loving kindness, we transform not only our relationships, but also our inner world. A heart filled with love is free from fear, resentment, and division. It becomes a source of light that illuminates not just our own path, but the paths of those around us. By cultivating loving kindness, we embrace a life of connection, compassion, and joy. This practice reminds us of our shared humanity and the profound truth that, at our core, we all long for the same thing: to be loved and understood. Loving kindness shows us the way to bridge divides, heal wounds, and live with a heart wide open. Lesson 9. Compassion. Compassion is the ability to deeply understand the suffering of others and to take action to alleviate their pain. It is a natural extension of loving kindness, but where loving kindness focuses on cultivating a warm, unconditional love for all beings, compassion is about responding to the pain we witness with empathy and a desire to help. Compassion moves us from awareness to action, compelling us to not only feel the suffering of others, but also do something to ease it. At its core, compassion connects us to the struggles of others, allowing us to recognize our shared vulnerability and humanity. It is not a passive feeling, but an active response that calls us to step forward and make a difference, even if in small ways. This could be offering a kind word to someone in distress, lending a helping hand to those in need, or simply being present with someone who is grieving. Compassion often means stepping outside of our own comfort zones to bring comfort to others. The Buddha taught that compassion is the antidote to suffering, both for others and ourselves. When we see someone in pain, it is not enough to simply acknowledge it. Compassion urges us to respond, whether through physical assistance, emotional support, or simply offering a listening ear. Compassion allows us to be a source of solace in the midst of pain. The Buddha said, if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your own path. When we ease the suffering of others, we also bring peace to our own hearts. Compassion is not just about responding to large-scale suffering, such as poverty or injustice, but also about showing kindness and understanding in our daily interactions. It asks us to be gentle with others and ourselves, recognizing that everyone is fighting their own battles, even when they appear outwardly calm. Compassion calls us to put ourselves in another's shoes and to see the world through their eyes, breaking down the barriers of judgment, misunderstanding, and division. A key aspect of compassion is its ability to dissolve the illusion of separateness. When we witness someone suffering, compassion reminds us that their pain is not other, but something that we are connected to. It teaches us that the well-being of others is inseparable from our own. As the Buddha said, may all beings be happy, may all beings be free from suffering. When we wish this for others, we also invite it into our own hearts. Importantly, compassion does not mean enabling harm or suffering. It is not about tolerating destructive behavior or ignoring injustice. True compassion recognizes the need for wisdom and discernment. It calls for action that is beneficial in healing, not enabling or enabling harm. Compassion, when balanced with wisdom, guides us to create environments where healing and transformation can take place. Compassion can also be a transformative force in our own lives. It helps us to release the grip of selfishness and narrow self-interest, fostering a greater sense of connection to others. It calls us to look beyond our own needs and desires, seeing the world through the eyes of those who are suffering, and understanding that our happiness is intertwined with the happiness of others. Just as loving kindness is a foundation for compassionate action, compassion itself can fuel even greater acts of kindness. When we recognize the suffering of others, our hearts naturally reach out to them. This leads to greater unity, not only in our relationships, but also within our communities and the world at large. Compassion brings us closer to the core of our shared humanity and invites us to create a world where the suffering of others is not ignored, but met with understanding and care. The practice of compassion, like loving kindness, is a path to freedom. It frees us from the bonds of indifference and self-centeredness, allowing us to expand our hearts and minds. Compassion teaches us that even in the darkest moments, there is a potential for light. As we embrace the suffering of others with love and kindness, we are reminded that we are all interconnected, and in helping others, we heal ourselves as well. In the end, compassion helps us live with a heart that is open and tender, seeing the pain of the world but choosing to act in ways that ease that pain. It is a gift that not only transforms the lives of others, but also transforms our own, teaching us that true happiness is found not in isolation, but in connection and service to others. Compassion teaches us that we all, no matter our differences, share in the experience of suffering, and together, we have the power to heal. Lesson 10. Right Intention. Right intention is a foundational teaching in the Noble Eightfold Path, inviting us to align our thoughts, goals, and motivations with compassion, kindness, and wisdom. It is a practice that moves us away from harmful desires and toward a life of ethical and fulfilling actions. The Buddha emphasized that the intentions we cultivate in our minds are the seeds that grow into our actions, shaping the course of our lives. As he taught, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. In Buddhism, right intention is not merely about making resolutions or setting goals. It is about the deeper motivations behind our actions, the values and aspirations that guide how we live. These intentions are cultivated with mindfulness and a sincere commitment to avoid harm, to nurture goodwill, and to approach life with clarity and balance. Central to right intention is the practice of letting go of craving and attachment. This does not mean rejecting life's joys, but rather releasing the grip of excessive desire that leads to dissatisfaction and suffering. Craving often arises from the belief that external achievements, possessions, or status will bring lasting happiness. However, Buddhism teaches that true contentment comes not from acquiring more, but from finding peace and simplicity, and letting go of the need to control or grasp. This renunciation opens the heart to a sense of freedom and inner calm. Right intention also calls for cultivating goodwill, an attitude of loving kindness and empathy for all beings. It encourages us to replace anger, hatred, and resentment with forgiveness, compassion, and understanding. This does not mean condoning harm, but rather recognizing the interconnectedness of all life and responding to difficulties with a heart rooted in care rather than vengeance. When we hold goodwill as a guiding intention, we nurture relationships that are harmonious and free from conflict. At its core, right intention embodies the principle of harmlessness. This means choosing thoughts and actions that do not cause pain or suffering to ourselves or others. Harmlessness reflects the deep commitment to nonviolence, or ahimsa, and the understanding that all beings wish to be free from harm. By holding this intention, we create a ripple effect of peace and kindness that extends beyond ourselves and touches the lives of those around us. Practicing right intention requires mindfulness and self-awareness. It involves pausing to reflect on the motivations behind our thoughts and actions, observing whether they arise from greed, anger, or ignorance, or whether they are rooted in wisdom, compassion, and generosity. This reflection allows us to consciously align our intentions with the principles of the Dharma, steering our lives toward greater harmony and purpose. Right intention is not about perfection, but about progress. It is a practice of continuously refining our thoughts and motivations, recognizing that the journey toward wisdom and ethical living is ongoing. As we develop this practice, we begin to notice how the quality of our intentions influences the outcomes of our actions. When our intentions are rooted in kindness and clarity, our actions naturally lead to peace and well-being, both for ourselves and for those around us. By cultivating right intention, we not only transform our own lives, but also contribute to the collective well-being of the world. This practice is a reminder that every thought and action matters, and that by aligning our motivations with kindness, nonviolence, and wisdom, we can walk the path to awakening with a heart full of purpose and compassion. Lesson 11. Right effort. Right effort is the practice of cultivating positive mental qualities while also avoiding negative tendencies. It involves putting mindful, intentional energy into developing virtues such as compassion, wisdom, patience, and mindfulness, while at the same time guarding against the forces of laziness, complacency, or overexertion. In Buddhism, right effort is one of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, guiding us to apply our energy in a way that is both effective and balanced, avoiding extremes in both effort and relaxation. Right effort teaches us that it is not enough to merely wish for change or growth. It requires active, mindful work. However, this effort should never be one of force or strain. The key is to find the balance between exerting energy to cultivate good qualities and not becoming overly attached to the outcome or exhausted by overworking ourselves. The Buddha taught that just as a noble horse, trained to the sound of a bell, does not need a whip, so should we direct our energy towards our practice with discipline and mindfulness. Right effort is about persistence, but not to the point of burnout. It requires both patience and diligence, recognizing that growth in the spiritual life is gradual and continuous. The effort should be consistent and gentle, like watering a plant. If we overwater, we drown the roots. If we neglect it, the plant withers. Similarly, in our own lives, the right effort is the ongoing practice of nurturing the qualities we wish to develop without forcing them. Right effort is not about striving endlessly without rest, but about creating balance. It teaches us that too little effort can result in stagnation, while too much effort can lead to exhaustion and frustration. The Buddha encourages us to find a pace that is sustainable, one that allows for growth without strain. Like the rhythm of breathing, right effort teaches us to be active and mindful without becoming overwhelmed. This balance also applies to our approach toward goals. Right effort invites us to engage in our practice with enthusiasm, but without attachment to specific outcomes. It is about doing the work with sincerity and dedication, while understanding that the fruits of our efforts may take time to manifest. The process itself is as important as the result. The practice of right effort teaches us that our growth is not solely a matter of willpower, but of wisdom. We learn to discern the difference between the effort that nourishes and the effort that exhausts. We learn that true progress comes from cultivating mindfulness and compassion with patience and joy. In this way, right effort is not about forcing change, but about creating the conditions for change to arise naturally in harmony with the rhythms of our life. In our daily lives, right effort encourages us to apply ourselves fully in whatever we do, whether it is our work, our relationships, or our practice. But it also reminds us to take care of ourselves, to pause when needed, and to recognize that effort without rest can lead to suffering. Like the rhythm of breathing, right effort teaches us to be active and mindful without becoming overwhelmed. When we practice right effort, we begin to see that the path of spiritual growth is not about pushing ourselves beyond our limits, but about finding the right balance of striving and relaxation. With each mindful effort, we cultivate the conditions for our highest good, helping us to grow with wisdom, compassion, and joy. Through right effort, we build the life we seek, one that is sustainable, fulfilling, and in harmony with the deeper truths of existence. Lesson 12. Right action. Right action is the practice of living in alignment with ethical principles that reflect kindness, honesty, and respect for all beings. It involves making choices in our daily lives that uphold the values of compassion and integrity, not just in our interactions with others, but also in the way we treat ourselves and the environment. Rooted in the understanding that our actions have consequences, right action invites us to take responsibility for the impact of our behavior and strive to act in ways that bring about positive, harmonious outcomes for all. At the heart of right action is a commitment to acting in ways that are not harmful. In Buddhism, the concept of non-harming, ahimsa, is central to ethical living. Right action urges us to avoid actions that cause suffering to ourselves, others, or the planet. This means being mindful of how our words, thoughts, and actions affect those around us, and making the conscious decision to choose paths that promote well-being, peace, and kindness. Right action is also about living with integrity and honesty. It invites us to choose actions that are in harmony with our values and that reflect our deepest understanding of compassion and wisdom. By living authentically and ethically, we contribute to a world that values truth and fairness. Our actions should be consistent with our inner commitments to non-harming, kindness, and respect for all beings. The practice of right action extends beyond our interactions with other people. It also includes our relationship with the environment. The choices we make, such as how we consume resources, care for nature, or reduce waste, can either contribute to or alleviate the suffering of the world around us. Right action calls us to live in harmony with the planet, recognizing that all life is interconnected, and that our behavior impacts not only those directly around us, but the global community as well. Living in alignment with right action is not about perfection, but about intention. It is a continuous process of becoming more mindful and aware of how we live and how our actions reflect our values. It is about taking responsibility for our behavior and striving to act with kindness, compassion, and respect, even when faced with difficult choices or challenges. Through right action, we come to realize that the quality of our actions shapes the quality of our lives. When we live ethically, we create a foundation of peace and well-being, not only for ourselves but for those around us. Our actions, no matter how small, contribute to the larger fabric of the world, and when they are rooted in compassion and respect, they ripple outwards, influencing others in positive ways. Right action reminds us that every action we take has the potential to create change. Whether it's a simple act of kindness, a moment of honesty, or a choice to act in a way that benefits the greater good, we are contributing to the collective well-being of all. By practicing right action, we align our lives with the values of compassion, wisdom, and love, helping to create a world where all beings can live in peace and harmony. In the end, right action is a path to living with authenticity, integrity, and a deep respect for all living beings. It teaches us that our actions are powerful and that by acting with kindness and mindfulness, we can contribute to a more just, compassionate, and harmonious world. Through the practice of right action, we transform ourselves and the world around us, one ethical decision at a time. Lesson 13, letting go. Letting go is the practice of releasing attachments to control, desires, and outcomes. It is the art of surrendering to the flow of life and accepting that we cannot control everything. This practice invites us to step back and recognize that much of our suffering arises from trying to hold on too tightly to what we want or what we believe should happen. By learning to let go, we create space for inner freedom and peace, allowing us to trust in the natural rhythm of life, without clinging to expectations or outcomes. At the core of letting go is a recognition that attachment binds us, whether it is attachment to our desires, our sense of security, our expectations, or even our sense of identity. These attachments keep us trapped in cycles of desire and dissatisfaction. When we let go of these attachments, we free ourselves from the constant struggle and resistance that life often brings. It is not about giving up or becoming passive, but rather about cultivating a state of acceptance, trust, and openness to whatever arises. Letting go teaches us to trust in the natural unfolding of life. So often, we try to control our circumstances, manipulate outcomes, or resist change. But life is constantly shifting, and when we hold on too tightly to a specific vision of how things should be, we limit our ability to adapt, grow, and experience peace. By letting go of the need to control, we can flow more easily with life's natural rhythm, responding to what arises with grace and wisdom rather than fear or resistance. This practice is not about abandoning our responsibilities or withdrawing from life's challenges. Rather, it is about releasing the need for things to be a certain way in order for us to be happy or fulfilled. When we hold on to rigid expectations, we often set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. Letting go allows us to approach life with an open heart, accepting that things may not always go according to our plans, but trusting that they will unfold as they are meant to. In the process of letting go, we also release the weight of our desires. Desires are natural, but when we become attached to them, believing that we need them to be happy or fulfilled, we create suffering. Letting go of attachment to desires doesn't mean we stop wanting or aspiring, but it means we learn to hold our desires lightly without clinging to them as the source of our happiness. By freeing ourselves from the need for specific outcomes, we open ourselves to greater possibilities and deeper peace. Letting go also involves releasing our attachment to outcomes. So often, we become fixated on a particular result or destination, thinking that it will bring us lasting happiness or fulfillment. But in doing so, we miss out on the present moment, where true peace resides. When we release our attachment to outcomes, we can fully engage in the journey, appreciating each step along the way without anxiety about the future. We learn to trust that life is unfolding perfectly, even if it doesn't look like we expected. The practice of letting go brings us into the present moment, where we are free from the burdens of the past and the worries of the future. It teaches us that true peace comes not from controlling or obtaining things, but from embracing life as it is. When we let go, we create the space for joy, contentment, and acceptance to arise naturally. We begin to experience life more fully, without the weight of our attachments clouding our perception. Ultimately, letting go is about freedom. It is about releasing the need for control and allowing ourselves to be fully present with what is. It is a reminder that the more we let go, the more we make room for peace, for love, and for trust in life's unfolding. Through this practice, we can learn to trust ourselves, trust others, and trust that life is always guiding us toward what is best for our growth and happiness. In the end, letting go teaches us that true freedom comes not from holding on, but from releasing our grip on the things that no longer serve us. It is in the act of letting go that we find our deepest peace and connection to the world around us. By learning to surrender, we discover that the flow of life is not something to be feared or controlled, but something to be trusted and embraced. Lesson 14: Simplicity. Simplicity is the practice of finding joy in a life that is uncluttered and focused on what truly matters. In a world that often values excess, complexity, and distraction, simplicity invites us to return to the essentials, those things that bring true peace, happiness, and fulfillment. By letting go of the unnecessary and focusing on the core of our existence, we create space for clarity, contentment, and inner peace. At its heart, simplicity is about recognizing that less can be more. When we remove the distractions of material possessions, excessive busyness, and the constant pursuit of more, we make room for the things that nourish our souls: relationships, self-care, mindfulness, and meaningful experiences. Simplicity helps us realize that happiness does not come from accumulating more or achieving more, but from being fully present with what we already have. Living simply does not mean deprivation. Rather, it is about living intentionally and choosing to prioritize what truly enriches our lives. It is about making space for joy and peace by eliminating the excess, whether it's physical clutter, mental distractions, or emotional baggage. When we simplify our lives, we allow ourselves to focus on what brings true fulfillment and let go of the things that weigh us down. In practice, simplicity can be seen in our daily choices. We might choose to spend time with loved ones rather than chasing after things that promise temporary satisfaction. We might opt for quiet moments of reflection rather than filling our time with noise and distractions. By simplifying our routines, our possessions, and our commitments, we free ourselves from the burden of overextension and the pressure of societal expectations. Simplicity also invites us to embrace a sense of contentment with what we have. So often, we are taught to strive for more, always seeking the next achievement, possession, or experience. Yet, true peace arises when we stop chasing and start appreciating. Simplicity helps us cultivate gratitude for the present moment and the things that truly matter, rather than constantly seeking fulfillment outside of ourselves. This practice also brings clarity. When we simplify our lives, we remove the clutter that clouds our minds and hearts. In this space of simplicity, we can see things more clearly, understand our true desires, and make choices that align with our values. It allows us to step back from the noise of the world and connect with our deeper purpose. Simplicity also fosters peace. When we live simply, we reduce the constant state of inner conflict that comes from juggling too many desires, responsibilities, and expectations. Without the pressure of keeping up with external demands or accumulating more, we experience a sense of calm and balance. In this stillness, we can access a deeper sense of peace and contentment that is not dependent on external circumstances. Ultimately, simplicity is about returning to what is most important. It reminds us that true happiness does not lie in the accumulation of possessions or achievements, but in the quality of our relationships, our connection to the present moment and our ability to live in alignment with our deepest values. Through simplicity, we cultivate a life that is rich in meaning and purpose, grounded in the clarity and peace that come from focusing on what truly matters. By embracing simplicity, we open ourselves to the joy of living with less, but experiencing more time for what nourishes us, more space for mindfulness and reflection, and more peace in knowing that we have everything we need right here, right now. Through simplicity, we discover that the most fulfilling life is often the simplest one, where we are free to appreciate the beauty and wonder of the present moment. Lesson 15, Acceptance. Acceptance is the practice of welcoming life as it is, without resistance or judgment. It is the art of embracing reality in its entirety, both the joys and the struggles, without trying to change, control, or avoid what arises. In a world where we often strive to make life conform to our desires, acceptance teaches us to meet each moment with an open heart and mind, cultivating peace and equanimity. It is through acceptance that we learn to face life's challenges with grace, understanding, and a deep sense of inner calm. At the core of acceptance is a recognition that life is ever-changing, unpredictable, and often beyond our control. We cannot always determine what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond. By accepting life as it is, we free ourselves from the suffering that comes from resisting the present moment. We stop fighting against the flow of life and instead begin to move with it, trusting that even in times of difficulty, there is wisdom and growth to be found. Acceptance does not mean passivity or resignation. It does not mean that we stop striving for improvement or that we ignore suffering. Rather, it means we stop rejecting what is happening and instead choose to meet it with an open mind. Acceptance allows us to respond with clarity and compassion rather than reacting out of fear, anger, or frustration. It teaches us that we can face adversity without being overwhelmed by it, and that by embracing the present moment, we can create space for healing, learning, and growth. One of the key elements of acceptance is releasing judgment. We often label our experiences as good or bad, and in doing so, we create a division between what we desire and what is. Acceptance invites us to let go of these judgments and see things as they are. By releasing the need to label or control, we open ourselves to the full richness of each moment, allowing life to unfold without resistance. This practice fosters a deep sense of peace because we no longer waste energy in opposition to what is. Acceptance also allows us to cultivate equanimity, mental and emotional balance in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs. When we accept life as it is, we learn to approach both success and failure with the same calm, balanced mind. We understand that challenges are part of the human experience, and by accepting them, we find the strength and wisdom to meet them with grace. Equanimity does not mean detachment or indifference, but rather a steady presence that remains grounded no matter what life brings. Through acceptance, we also deepen our capacity for compassion. When we accept ourselves as we are, without judgment or criticism, we create space for self-love and healing. This same acceptance can extend to others, helping us to meet them with understanding, even in their struggles. We begin to recognize that all beings are doing the best they can in the circumstances they face, and this awareness fosters a sense of empathy and connection. The practice of acceptance does not require us to condone harmful behaviors or to stay passive in the face of injustice. It is not about passively tolerating suffering or harm, but about accepting the reality of the present moment so that we can respond with wisdom and compassion. By accepting what is, we can make clearer, more thoughtful decisions about how to act in the world, choosing responses that are rooted in understanding, not reactivity. Ultimately, acceptance brings us closer to inner peace. When we accept life as it is, we let go of the struggle to control or manipulate the present moment. We free ourselves from the tyranny of expectations and the anxiety that comes from resisting what is. Through acceptance, we learn to live in harmony with life, trusting that everything we experience, both good and bad, has its purpose and its place in our journey. In the end, Acceptance is a practice of surrender, trust, and understanding. It is about meeting life with openness, even when it feels uncertain or challenging. By embracing the present moment without resistance or judgment, we create the space for peace, equanimity, and wisdom to emerge. Acceptance is the key to living a life of grace, where we can face whatever comes our way with clarity, compassion, and a deep sense of inner calm. Lesson 16. Trust in the process. Trust in the process is the practice of having faith in life's natural unfolding, even when the path ahead is unclear or uncertain. It is the understanding that life moves in its own rhythm, and though we may not always see where it is leading, we can trust that everything is unfolding as it should. By letting go of the need for certainty and control, we create space for patience, resilience, and a deep sense of freedom. Trusting the process invites us to embrace the journey with all its twists and turns, knowing that each step holds its own wisdom and purpose. At the heart of this practice is a recognition that life is full of both known and unknowns, and that uncertainty is an inherent part of the human experience. When we trust in the process, we release our fear of the unknown and let go of the need for a clear blueprint of the future. Instead of trying to control every outcome, we accept that life's unfolding may not always make sense in the moment, but in time, we will see the bigger picture. Trusting the process does not mean passively waiting for things to happen. It is about actively engaging with life in a way that allows us to move forward with a sense of openness and acceptance. This means taking the next step with confidence, even when the future is unclear, and trusting that each action, no matter how small, is part of a larger story. It is about having faith that, even in times of difficulty or confusion, the process of life is guiding us toward what we need for growth and learning. Patience is a key aspect of trusting the process. In a world that often values instant results and quick fixes, trusting the process teaches us to slow down and allow things to unfold at their own pace. Growth, healing, and change take time, and by practicing patience, we create the space for these natural processes to take place. We trust that the seeds we plant today will one day blossom, even if we cannot yet see the flowers. Resilience also emerges from trusting the process. Life's journey is not always smooth, and we will inevitably face challenges and setbacks. When we trust the process, we understand that these obstacles are not roadblocks, but opportunities for growth and learning. By trusting that everything, even adversity, is part of the unfolding, we build the strength to persevere in the face of difficulties. Resilience arises when we remain steadfast, even when the path seems uncertain, knowing that every step is bringing us closer to where we need to be. Trusting the process also brings a sense of freedom. When we release our need to control or predict every outcome, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with trying to force things to go a certain way. We no longer feel bound by rigid expectations or deadlines. Instead, we experience the freedom that comes from surrendering to life's natural flow, trusting that we are exactly where we need to be in each moment. This trust is deeply connected to the practice of letting go. By letting go of the need to control, we allow ourselves to be present with life as it is. We stop resisting what is unfolding, knowing that each moment, whether joyful or challenging, has something to teach us. Through this acceptance of the process, we cultivate a deep sense of peace and trust that life is always working in our favor, even when we cannot see how. In the end, trusting the process is a practice of surrendering to life's wisdom. It is about having faith that, even when the way forward is unclear, there's a greater intelligence at work that is guiding us. By trusting in the unfolding of life, we move forward with confidence, knowing that every experience is part of the journey toward becoming who we are meant to be. This trust brings us patience, resilience, and freedom, allowing us to face life's challenges with grace and wisdom. Through the practice of trusting the process, we learn to flow with life rather than fight against it. We embrace the uncertainty of the future, knowing that each step is a part of our unique path, unfolding perfectly in its own time. Trusting the process reminds us that life is not something to be controlled or predicted, but something to be lived, experienced, and trusted. In this trust, we find peace, strength, and the freedom to be fully present in the unfolding of our journey. Lesson 17. The power of patience. The power of patience is the practice of cultivating the ability to endure life's challenges with grace and composure, without succumbing to frustration or impatience. In a world that often values speed, quick results, and immediate gratification, patience invites us to slow down and embrace the natural timing of life. It teaches us that there is strength in waiting, wisdom in stillness, and resilience in allowing things to unfold at their own pace. By cultivating patience, we learn to respond to difficulties with calmness, understanding, and a deeper sense of inner peace. At the core of patience is the understanding that life does not always unfold according to our desires or timelines. Challenges, setbacks, and delays are inevitable parts of the human experience. However, patience teaches us that these moments are not obstacles to be resisted, but opportunities for growth and learning. When we practice patience, we stop fighting against life's natural rhythms and begin to trust that everything has its own time and purpose. Patience does not mean passivity or inaction. It is not about waiting idly for things to improve, but about maintaining a steady, composed presence in the face of adversity. When we are patient, we remain engaged in the process, but we do so with the understanding that outcomes cannot always be hurried. This mindset allows us to navigate challenges with a sense of calm, without becoming overwhelmed by frustration or the urge to rush things. One of the key benefits of patience is its ability to build resilience. Life often presents us with difficulties that challenge our endurance, and patience helps us weather these storms without losing our sense of self or becoming disheartened. When we learn to remain patient, we build the mental and emotional strength to face adversity with courage and perseverance. We understand that struggles are temporary, and through patience, we are better able to navigate through them with a clear and focused mind. Patience also helps us respond to difficulties with wisdom. When we react impulsively to challenges, we often make decisions based on emotions like fear, frustration, or anger. Patience allows us to pause, reflect, and make choices from a place of clarity and calm. This thoughtful approach leads to wiser decisions, healthier outcomes, and a deeper understanding of the situation at hand. By practicing patience, we cultivate the ability to see the bigger picture, recognizing that every challenge has its lessons and that rushing through life's difficulties only leads to missed opportunities for growth. Patience helps us develop a deeper sense of self-control. In moments of discomfort or difficulty, it is easy to give in to the urge to complain, act out, or give up. Patience teaches us to hold steady and remain composed, even when circumstances are challenging. By practicing self-restraint, we build emotional stability and learn to respond to life's ups and downs with greater equanimity. The power of patience also lies in its ability to foster peace. When we rush or become impatient, we create tension and stress within ourselves. But when we embrace patience, we create a sense of calm and acceptance. Patience allows us to let go of the need for everything to happen on our terms and instead trust in the natural unfolding of life. This trust brings us peace, as we no longer feel the need to control or force outcomes. We learn to be present in the moment, trusting that everything will unfold in its own time. In cultivating patience, we also deepen our sense of compassion. Patience allows us to approach others with kindness and understanding, particularly when they are facing challenges or frustrations. Instead of rushing others or expecting instant results, patience invites us to meet them where they are and offer support without judgment. In this way, patience strengthens our relationships and deepens our connection to others. Ultimately, the power of patience is a practice of trust. Trust in ourselves, trust in others, and trust in life's natural process. It is a belief that we do not need to force things to happen, but that if we remain steady and calm, everything will unfold as it is meant to. Patience teaches us that true strength lies not in rushing or pushing through obstacles, but in staying grounded, composed, and compassionate, even when things don't go according to plan. Through the practice of patience, we transform our relationship with life's challenges. Instead of seeing difficulties as something to be avoided or resisted, we see them as opportunities to build resilience, wisdom, and inner peace. In this way, patience becomes a powerful tool for navigating life's storms with grace, understanding, and unwavering composure. It reminds us that everything has its time, and that by trusting the process and remaining patient, we find the strength to endure and the wisdom to thrive. Lesson 18. Going with the flow. Going with the flow is the practice of being flexible and adaptable to life's changes, embracing the ebb and flow of life with grace and ease. In a world that often encourages control and certainty, going with the flow teaches us to let go of rigid expectations and instead surrender to life's natural rhythm. By accepting the uncertainty and unpredictability of life, we find peace in the knowledge that change is the only constant. Going with the flow allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with calmness and resilience, trusting that every shift is an opportunity for growth. At the heart of going with the flow is a recognition that life is constantly changing, and we are part of that flow. Whether it's shifts in our circumstances, relationships, or internal world, nothing stays the same forever. Going with the flow invites us to stop resisting change and instead embrace it as a natural and inevitable part of the human experience. Instead of fighting against life's transitions, we learn to adjust our sails and move with the current, trusting that we are being carried exactly where we need to go. Going with the flow does not mean giving up or being passive. It is not about abandoning our goals or desires, but rather about maintaining an open mind and heart as we navigate life's unpredictable nature. When we go with the flow, we become more attuned to the present moment and less attached to how things should be. We learn to move through life with a sense of curiosity, allowing us to see new possibilities and embrace unexpected opportunities that may arise. Flexibility is a key element of going with the flow. Life often doesn't unfold as we expect, and when we cling to rigid plans or ideas, we create frustration and disappointment. By practicing flexibility, we allow ourselves to adapt to changing circumstances without resistance. Whether it's a change in our career, relationships, or personal goals, going with the flow helps us remain open to new paths and solutions, knowing that life's detours may hold unexpected gifts. Embracing uncertainty is another important aspect of going with the flow. Many of us seek certainty and security, but the truth is that life is full of unknowns. When we learn to accept uncertainty, we free ourselves from the fear and anxiety that come from trying to predict or control the future. By going with the flow, we cultivate trust in the process of life, knowing that even when things feel uncertain, we are exactly where we need to be. Uncertainty becomes less something to fear and more an invitation to explore, learn, and grow. Going with the flow also helps us cultivate peace. When we try to control every aspect of our lives, we often create stress, tension, and resistance. But when we learn to flow with life, we create space for inner calm and acceptance. We stop fighting against what is and begin to appreciate the beauty of life's impermanence. In this acceptance, we find peace, because we no longer feel the need to control or dictate the course of events. We trust that life is unfolding in its own time, and that we are always supported along the way. Going with the flow does not mean abandoning responsibility or passivity. It is about finding balance between action and surrender. We can still make choices, set intentions, and take steps toward our goals, but we do so with the understanding that the path may not always look as we imagined. Going with the flow means being able to adapt and adjust as life unfolds, knowing that every change is a chance to grow, learn, and become more aligned with our true purpose. In relationships, going with the flow helps us navigate the natural rhythms of connection with others. We learn to let go of expectations and judgments, allowing our relationships to evolve naturally, whether it's in the workplace, with family, or in romantic partnerships. Going with the flow helps us meet others where they are, without trying to force them into our vision of how things should be. We approach each person and situation with openness, curiosity, and compassion, knowing that life's changes often bring new opportunities for connection and growth. Ultimately, going with the flow is a practice of trust and surrender. It is the understanding that we do not need to control or force things to happen, but that if we remain open, adaptable, and present, everything will unfold as it should. Life's flow is a constant movement, and by embracing it, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to hold onto what is fleeting and embrace the beauty of what is unfolding right in front of us. Through the practice of going with the flow, we learn to navigate life's challenges with a sense of ease and resilience. Instead of struggling against the current, we learn to ride it, knowing that each wave is part of the journey. By embracing life's uncertainty and change, we find a deep sense of peace, trust, and freedom. In the end, going with the flow reminds us that life is not something to control, but something to experience, with all its twists, turns, and infinite possibilities. Lesson 19: Gratitude. Gratitude is the practice of shifting our focus toward the blessings in our lives, cultivating a deep appreciation for what we have rather than dwelling on what we lack. It is the recognition that even in times of difficulty, there are moments of beauty, kindness, and abundance to be thankful for. Gratitude has the power to transform dissatisfaction into contentment, helping us see the world through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. By nurturing gratitude, we foster a sense of connection to others and to the world around us, while also deepening our own sense of joy and fulfillment. At the heart of gratitude is the awareness that every moment holds something to be thankful for, no matter how small it may seem. Whether it's a kind gesture from a friend, the beauty of nature, or the simple fact of being alive, gratitude helps us recognize these moments and celebrate them. When we focus on the positive aspects of our lives, we begin to shift our mindset from one of lack to one of abundance, realizing that there is always something to be grateful for, even in challenging times. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties we face. It is not about pretending that everything is perfect, but rather about acknowledging the good alongside the challenges. When we make gratitude a regular practice, we begin to reframe our perspective. Instead of focusing solely on what's wrong or missing, we learn to appreciate what is right and what we already have. This shift in focus helps us cultivate a more balanced and positive outlook on life. One of the profound effects of gratitude is its ability to foster a deep sense of connection. When we express gratitude toward others, we strengthen our bonds with them. Gratitude allows us to acknowledge the kindness, love, and support we receive, which in turn creates a sense of shared humanity. By regularly expressing gratitude, we not only uplift ourselves, but also inspire others to appreciate the goodness in their own lives. This creates a ripple effect of positivity, where everyone involved feels valued and connected. Gratitude also fosters joy. When we focus on the blessings we have, we open our hearts to the present moment and all its beauty. We begin to experience more joy, not because we have more, but because we see and appreciate what we already have. Gratitude helps us embrace the fullness of life, allowing us to experience greater peace, contentment, and happiness. It teaches us that joy is not something to be chased or attained, but something to be recognized and cultivated in our everyday experiences. One of the most powerful aspects of gratitude is its ability to shift our mindset from dissatisfaction to appreciation. In a world that often encourages comparison, competition, and the pursuit of more, it can be easy to fall into the trap of dissatisfaction. We may focus on what we don't have or what we want to achieve, overlooking the abundance already present in our lives. Gratitude helps us step out of this cycle, reminding us to take a moment to pause and appreciate the blessings that surround us. When we practice gratitude, we no longer feel as though something is missing. We feel complete and content as we are. Gratitude also nurtures resilience. When we face challenges or difficult circumstances, gratitude can be a powerful tool to help us cope. By recognizing even the small things we are grateful for, we can shift our focus from what is difficult to what is possible. Gratitude helps us build emotional strength by reminding us of the positive aspects of our lives, which gives us the energy and motivation to keep moving forward, even when things feel tough. The practice of gratitude can be simple yet transformative. It can start with small moments of appreciation, such as pausing to thank someone, taking a moment to reflect on the positive aspects of the day, or keeping a gratitude journal. Over time, these small acts of gratitude compound, leading to a shift in mindset that makes gratitude a natural part of our everyday life. The more we practice gratitude, the more we cultivate a sense of abundance, joy, and connection. Ultimately, gratitude is a practice of presence. It is about being fully aware of the gifts of the present moment and acknowledging the goodness that already exists in our lives. When we make gratitude a habit, we move through life with a greater sense of peace and contentment, appreciating the world around us without constantly seeking more. Through the practice of gratitude, we learn to see life through a lens of appreciation rather than expectation. We recognize that even in the midst of challenges, there's always something to be thankful for. Gratitude transforms our perspective, helping us shift from dissatisfaction to joy and creating a sense of connection and fulfillment that enriches every aspect of our lives. By focusing on the blessings in our lives, we invite more peace, happiness, and love into our hearts and the hearts of those around us. Lesson 20. Finding joy in simplicity. Finding joy in simplicity is the practice of embracing life's most basic yet profound pleasures, letting go of the constant desire for more, and finding contentment in the present moment. In a world often focused on accumulation, achievement, and complexity, simplicity offers a powerful reminder of what truly matters. By celebrating the beauty of simplicity, we open ourselves to the richness of life as it is, free from the distractions of excess and the pressure to constantly strive for more. Simplicity invites us to slow down, appreciate the present, and discover joy in the most ordinary aspects of life. At the core of simplicity is the understanding that happiness does not lie in external possessions or achievements, but in our ability to appreciate and be present with what we already have. In a society that often equates success with accumulation and status, simplicity teaches us that fulfillment comes not from the outside, but from within. By letting go of the desire for more, whether more material possessions, more validation, or more distractions, we create space for a deeper sense of peace, satisfaction, and joy. Simplicity encourages us to cultivate mindfulness in our daily lives, to be fully present in each moment, and to appreciate the small things that often go unnoticed. Whether it's a quiet morning, a shared smile, or the beauty of nature, simplicity invites us to slow down and savor life's simple pleasures. When we are present, we recognize the richness that exists in the here and now. Instead of constantly seeking the next big thing, we begin to appreciate the value of the present moment and the joy that comes from being fully engaged in life as it is. One of the greatest gifts of simplicity is the freedom it brings. When we let go of the need to constantly acquire or achieve, we free ourselves from the pressures of comparison, competition, and expectation. We no longer need to keep up with others or chase after external markers of success. Simplicity allows us to live according to our own values and priorities, creating space for inner peace and authentic happiness. By embracing a simpler life, we gain freedom from the distractions that often prevent us from experiencing true joy. Finding joy in simplicity also fosters a sense of gratitude. When we simplify our lives, we become more aware of the blessings that surround us. We start to see the beauty in the everyday, in the things we once overlooked or took for granted. Simple pleasures like a warm cup of tea, a good book, or a quiet walk in nature become sources of deep contentment. Gratitude flourishes when we no longer focus on what we don't have, but on the abundance of what we already do. Simplicity helps us reconnect with what truly matters. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to lose sight of our core values and priorities. By simplifying our lives, we can focus on what truly brings us joy, whether it's spending time with loved ones, engaging in meaningful work, or nurturing our physical and emotional well-being. Simplicity invites us to clear away the clutter, both physical and mental, and focus on the things that truly nourish our hearts and minds. In relationships, simplicity encourages us to embrace quality over quantity. Instead of seeking to impress or accumulate superficial connections, we learn to cherish the meaningful relationships that bring true fulfillment. Simplicity fosters deeper connections, as we are able to show up more fully for others and appreciate the present moment together. By letting go of the distractions that often complicate relationships, we create space for genuine connection, love, and understanding. Simplicity also nurtures inner peace. In a world that often promotes busyness and multitasking, simplicity offers a way to quiet the mind and restore balance. By simplifying our schedule, our environment, and our thoughts, we create space for stillness and calm. This inner peace allows us to respond to life's challenges with greater clarity and composure, rather than reacting out of stress or overwhelm. Simplicity is not just about reducing external clutter. It's about clearing the mental and emotional clutter that prevents us from experiencing peace. The practice of simplicity is an invitation to live intentionally. It challenges us to examine our lives and let go of anything that no longer serves us or aligns with our values. By simplifying, we make room for what is truly important, whether it's decluttering our homes, simplifying our daily routines, or letting go of unnecessary expectations. Simplicity encourages us to align our lives with our deepest desires and aspirations. Ultimately, finding joy in simplicity is about embracing life as it is, without the need for embellishment or excess. It is about appreciating the beauty of each moment and the richness that comes from living in harmony with the present. Simplicity teaches us that happiness does not come from accumulation, but from the ability to be fully present and grateful for the life we already have. Through the practice of simplicity, we discover that true joy does not require more. It requires less. By letting go of the desire for more and embracing the present moment, we find that life is already full of wonder, meaning, and connection. Simplicity invites us to celebrate life in its purest form, to find contentment in the ordinary, and to experience the profound beauty that is already all around us. As we reach the end of this journey through 20 transformative lessons, let us take a moment to reflect on the insights we've uncovered. Together, we have explored the profound wisdom of Buddhism, teachings that inspire us to live with mindfulness, compassion, and a sense of inner peace. These lessons are not just abstract concepts. They are practical steps we can integrate into our daily lives. Whether it's learning to let go of what we cannot control, embracing the inevitability of change, or finding joy in life's simple moments, each teaching lights the way to a more balanced and fulfilling existence. This journey of self-discovery does not end here. The path continues, calling us to grow, reflect, and deepen our understanding with every step. By embodying patience, loving kindness, and trust in the unfolding of life, we not only transform ourselves, but also contribute to a ripple of positivity that extends to the world around us. As the Buddha wisely said, true peace comes from within. Do not seek it outside. The most profound change begins within us, in how we perceive and respond to the world. We are grateful that you joined us in exploring these teachings of Buddhist wisdom. If these lessons have touched your heart, we encourage you to share your reflections in the comments below. Together, we can build a community dedicated to understanding, growth, and connection. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and stay tuned as we continue to share more wisdom and practices to support your journey. Each small, mindful step you take contributes to a life of joy, balance, and peace. Until next time, may your path be guided by an open heart, and may you welcome life's moments with wisdom, compassion, and gratitude.